Okay. Ooh, that's a little loud. Maybe I'll adjust that a little bit lower. Okay. So I'm trying to construct a Megabase. I've played a lot of Factorio, and I've actually never constructed a Megabase. I've always kind of like petered out or stalled out. But I'm giving it a real shot this time. I thought I'd share my experience for the maybe three people who might find it interesting. Try to see what else. Why'd that view go away? Where's yeah? Okay. Um, so full notice. I actually cheated initially. I did what was it? Infinity chest and kind of started out and to jumpstart base because the opening game, like from start until rocket launch, I've just played so many times that I just gotten to the point where like I don't really want to deal with like the burner phase. And I also had a new rail book that I had kind of developed, so I wanted to do that and test that out and see how that went. So I'm well past the point where I've used any Infinity Chest, and I've actually, before this stream, chucked it into the Vulcanus lava pit to hide my shame. But in the interest of full disclosure, I guess I just should reference that. At this point, my factory was running low on green circuits, or really the production of blue circuits was too slow and too low volume. So I needed to up my green circuits. I have had this green circuit extender, but oh my god, how did that happen? How did I get belts contaminated? Well, it doesn't matter because I'll be disassembling this. I had this pretty, I want to say, standard setup. I upgraded by assembler tie belt, inserters, modules, but it's pretty standard template. As I was running low, I kind of wanted to switch my circuit production to be on my train network. So what I have been doing is I've been making basics items like iron, copper plate, mining ore, coal, brick, and then I do that on my train network, and then I supply this bus, and this bus is just kind of like a starter, um, a starter way of developing, and then as the idea is that as I go on, I'll move things from the bus to the train network and then just drop it off and feed it that way. So the last thing I did before I started this stream was I went and I um, created this complex for circuits. So this way I'm producing 4 red belts of circuits and extending the blue belt shouldn't be hard to just copy and paste this over so that instead of 6 it's like 9, round up to 10, since we need 2 in the complex. This is something I'm a little bit proud of. So using the interrupt system in circuits, I've tried to replicate the LTN mod logistic train network as much as I can, and it's actually been working pretty well. These circuit constructions are larger than they need to be. Using parameterized blueprints, we could make them much smaller in my initial draft test, but really I wanted all logic to be generated off these constants number of wagons in a delivery, the stack size, and train limit. So from there, right, this calculates is the number of things in a car. This is the items in a delivery, so this is stack times 40. The result of this times wagons is the delivery. Could have done those constants in a. We could have hard coded those constants, or not hard coded. Those constants could have been populated by like a parameter in the blueprint, but the goal was that I could actually expand stations. For example, so this is a 4-train station. Originally, when I started out, yeah, here's copper. I would only have like a train car for 1 for copper, and then as I built up production and added a second line, I just changed this. I just added a second assembler, and I changed this W from 1 to 2, and now I can handle trains of 2 length, and then double it again, trains of 4 length, and it's really been worked out well as an extendable system. To give an example of this train about some of the logic, I call this train S3 for solid network number 3. You can see we just go to an S3 delivery. Provider stations are all titled S3 in this network. Then we use the interrupt to choose the correct requester station. In this case, it'd be S3 hyphen copper plate. We have a little depot for idling. The depot is also the refueling station, which we could separate out. At the moment, I'm just using coal. I actually do produce rocket fuel, so I can convert over that network to rocket fuel. I just need to build a little depot station. Sorry, I've been idling, so I've just been doing some infinite researches as I've been building things up. Yeah, that's all good. We'll put that there, and then I don't really use or find animals. Where are we on that? So let's just do that. Yeah, that's fine. My depot, I make a requester station for the fuel. It goes, loads up. You can see that this is train network S1. I have a separate network for fluids, F1, but they share idling and depot stations. And this has actually worked out very well. I just remembered something. Yeah. So I had expanded this. This station is in the middle of expanding. I added the infrastructure. So this is where, because I pipe in, yeah. This is what a fluid train with one car fluid train. This is what a receiver station looks like. This is what a receiver station with 2 looks like. I haven't changed the logic yet. On requester station, I have this parameter B, which is how many buffers. On fluids, I just put 2 because this is 100,000 and this single car delivers 50. I haven't updated the train yet. I just done this, so you can see that this should be like roughly double the size to be completely satisfied. But I have 2 here. I need to go change this and switch petroleum over to fluid 2 instead of fluid 1. All the logic on these stations revolve around requests of an integer number of train deliveries. So I'm going to need to go back to the lab and develop a version that instead of train loads request things by the train load, request things by individual item, as there are certain things that we just don't make enough of, and making like 2,000 of is a little ridiculous. Namely, things in the production category. Um, so, yeah, I'm trying to think of a good thing. Like, I probably should have, I'll give you an example. That's fine, yeah. So I probably should have done this on an individual basis because right now I can only deliver fuel cells in a minimum quantity of 2,000, in batches of 2,000, which I did to make, what's the exact term for that would be? Portable fission reactor. It's probably a little overkill since I'm ever going to make 20 portable fission reactors at a time. Where'd I put that? Yeah. So how much do I need? Yeah, 80 uranium fuel cells to make 20 fusion reactors. Yeah, so single train delivery of fusion reactors is enough for fusion cells is 20 a single delivery of fusion cells is enough for 500 portable fission reactors, which I'm not making on that scale for now. We might be making those things on the scale that when we go for more quality things. The general principle is intermediate products or things that are used for science directly go on a belt, and then I've kind of just created this a little bit of a bot production mall for goods that aren't intermediate or used in science. That was another reason I used the infinity chest, is so I could get requester chests early on to this. Otherwise, I'd have a long line of production machines. Usually when I build pipe off iron gear and green circuits and just have a long line of assembler 1, assembler 2, mining, chemical plants, things like that. But this has been a little bit cleaner, knowing that this isn't what we're doing long term. So I just decommissioned this. I'm gonna do that so that when I decommission, I don't cut off power to half the bus. I don't need this line at all. Okay, well, great. So yeah, I've been making green circuits. Anything to clean up. I have this OCD thing where I check mining patches and I remove miners and slowly dwindle it down. It's a little exciting. I find it a little exciting. My Coverax. The way the circuits are set up is that we don't have, or not circuits, the way the belts are set up is so that it doesn't back up, and that there's no need for kind of circuit conditions or little buffer chests. It's a very slow process to start off, because once let's say this kicks off, it will keep producing, keep feeding itself. So even though you have 40, it's not until 40 is being used in this additional 90, 130, uranium-235 gets buffered internally, and then like around after that, that starts outputting and feeding that machine. So if you're doing this like once every minute, once you mine enough, it takes about 2 hours for this to, or sorry, about 90 minutes for this to internally buffer. So for that 90 minutes, only this this reactor is going. Then after that 90 minutes, Exo starts getting, like you can see here, fed out, and it goes into the next one. So it takes a while for this to start up. Once this starts up, however, we now need to buffer 90 additional ones, but 2 reactors are feeding it, so it takes 45, 22, 10, 6. So that initial one does take a while. But then it's, why aren't you going? Oh, because we're not producing enough U-238. That's acceptable. I am feeding half here for the network and then half into this. Yeah, that's not really a problem. It would have been much faster for startup if we had set up like a little, output to a little chest. Anything above 40, just put exit on the belt and we start that over. I just like these feedback loops where all the logic is in the belt and not, using circuit conditions. This is an aesthetic principle, that's all. But yeah, that's just where my head's at. This started out at 2.2, so I've already used a quarter of uranium, but effectively less since we'll have mining productivity. And it's fine, it's pretty much a copy and paste, and I have, plenty of uranium elsewhere. I know it's probably a little strange what I've prioritized putting on the train network, because my initial idea was, we'll do the smelting items like iron, then gears and steels over here. There was a dedicated. No, this is my first train iron patch. It was also making steel earlier. That's kind of why we have these dead stations. Here it's has iron ore for a little bit of OCD. There must have been a tree here. Iron ore for concrete that's made on the bus. So originally this is making iron, steel, and outputting iron ore. I converted this to all iron. And then over here, I dedicated one just to steel. So, notice let's go do this, show this real quick. I have RoboPort tiles that are set up, and then I have some additional ones. So this one is wired up to create a network. You can kind of see here. This one was for in case I don't want to make the giant cross. I haven't really used it. I just delete the electric poles I don't want. Oh yeah, I should have been using this. We'll start using this over on Vulcanus. The idea here, yeah, and then a solar tile. So if you can see, I've been kind of squeezing things in here. My rail network, I do have, straight 4-way, 3-way. I've been trying to avoid 4-way. Really, if I wanted to be smart about things, I'd be trying to do T-junctions with elevated rails so that there's no crossovers, only merges. But I haven't had thoroughbred problems yet. But, we are just at the end of the opening game. Once I give cliff explosives, I'm going to demolish this. I think I have a little to-do list list, yeah, great. I thought I'd have a little to-do list. Mod-wise, I just have some calculators and utilities. I'm not adding any entities to the game or new recipes. Yeah, stone. This is now my main. Sorry, I misspoke earlier. This is my steel. This is my iron plate. And then this was the original one that's kind of slowly running dry, I think. What are we at now? 2.5, so that's halfway depleted from its original 5 million. For the rail system, I did is, if you go on the Factorio forums or the Discord, there is a pretty intense community of people that are really into the train mechanics of Factorio. So on the forum, there is like a compendium of intersection designs, some which are massive and complicated. I tried to make choose like a simpler thing. So I want to say Avona four-way intersection is the name of the intersection. That's the basis of this little square here. And then I extended it into this 50 or 100 by 100 tile. So tiles with two roboports completely, and then the rail book and my roboport book are both, all the blueprints are 100 by 100 and have the same grid position, so they align. In my roboport electrical network, it's this blueprint minus all the train stuff, so they layer correctly. So, I put a little bit of thought into this, and then from across you can make the other intersections pretty easy by just deleting the top part and then cutting off the rails that are orphaned and removing the now stray signals. The other thing that's nice about it is that the way that it's designed is that if I have a curve, because what do I want to say? This S curve and this curve are subsets of a T curve, so I can always, if I want this now be an intersection, and just plop it down. There's no need to change. My station designs could be better. So I was going to the wrong one. How these are designed is I have this basic skeleton that I do want to change it. I've been doing it. The main thing I'll say what I want to change later. So I have this basic skeleton, and then what I do is this little, I guess, spur. And then what I can do is I have these station extenders. So that's not a good one because depots have a different spacing. But this I just make as many as I want, and then I expand stackers this way. And this feels like the minimum station size I need to do or size to have this kind of extendable stackers on the right, and then these extendable stations on the left. I'm looking from the train's direction, I guess, not mine, where I'm dyslexic. The thing I want to change about this is I want to rewire the electric transmission carrier, I guess, electric poles. Maybe to use substations or something like that, because I want to fit, in retrospect, I should be using the interior of these stations as spaces for solar cells, the same way I've been using a little bit of these. Like, this is kind of hard space to use for a train because it's got this U over here. So I just plop down solar cells where I can. I have this little island. But I could be using the stations themselves as areas for solar. And I could do this right now, but the way it's currently designed will be disconnected, because you can see that this would destroy, putting this here would destroy this large electric pole, and this substation wouldn't reach over here, so I gotta go back to the layout. Maybe change that up. And I'm actually on Vulcanus. I have my requests of things, how this, and like always, I forgot a few. So, this is my kind of trawler. It's incredibly ugly. It could be slimmed down, but we won't be using this design for long. Because on Vulcanus, we're going to get reprocessing, which is going to change the logic up here. So this shit's been waiting for an hour. It's been loading what it can. Its big slowdown, of course, has been, yeah, you can see blue circuits. So how are we doing? Great. Yeah. Perfect. So what I've been hoping that's happened and has happened is I've been talking, giving this little tour, that our network would start making deliveries to the station. So yeah, this is feeding all the way here, and of course by the time we get down here, we're, yeah. Is there a better way to doing this? I think I should redesign this. Okay, so I've made a second drop off by the blue circuits, so this is going to be dedicated just to blue circuits. And then what I want to do, should put this balancer book is not mine. Floor 2. Yeah. Of course, everything will be subject to change as newer and better technologies will be released. Wait, is steal the top, or am I missing one? I'm trying to have all this spaced according. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go down here. I don't know why I'm being so precise. I'm making this belt 4 wide. In general, 4 wide. This is 3 because I've only been extending the belt on lines where I need them later down the bus. Yeah, here's my new question of I want to put this moment we can deliver one at this moment we can deliver one blue belt of green, and I want to do 2 blue belts. So I'm going to need to readjust things a little over here. Yeah, this is how I want to do it. Because we consume so little. If you can see, we consume only 0.15 red circuits a second. We balanced them back then, so we don't need to balance them over here. What am I missing? 5? How am I missing 5 lamps? Oh, because it's on Vulcanus. I'm being stupid. Oh, so I made these requests. This request mirrors what's down on Vulcanus, so there's not too much to think at the moment. We'll have to change. I'm sure we'll have to change this as planets come up. So that's looking better. Also, the most annoying thing that I can do, probably on stream, is every now and a while I just go and Does that reach a 6? Yeah, there we go. Slowly improve the quality of modules. Yeah, so I can upgrade this one a little bit. So what do we got over here? I have a lot of these rare ones. I have like a little spreadsheet I made because I'm a loser of what modules are in what order. So all other things will, like for example, on the spreadsheet I have it listed so that like I remember that rare productivity module ones, tier ones, are better than normal tier 2. They have the same productivity amount, but the pollution and energy consumption is higher. So generally every now and then I'll go around, and when I see just 21.5, it's like 26 of those. Yeah, so I'll go and replace these as I see them. Land science, what am I doing? 113. So yeah, you end up with a lot of these uncommon tier 1 productivity modules, since we use tier 1 productivity modules for purple science, and we constantly consume them. We never really get backed up on them, and we're constantly producing things like the higher quality ones. Like for example, you can see for fishing modules here, there's not like a constant consumption of them, and consequently, like this kind of depot gets full, it backs up, and we're not constantly generating like higher quality versions as well. So this happens as well for speed, since they're used in assembler 3s, and we end up using a lot of assembler 3s. So yeah, generally it's what I said is not entirely true, because all our tier 1 modules are used for tier 2, so there's a little bit of a pressure on consumption there. Not a whole lot, as you can see, since they've mainly been starved for blue chips. How many of these do I have left? I have 4, so something I should have been doing is, I don't have a lot of higher quality beacons. I'm also pretty sure that in my list, yeah, let's save those for maybe for something else. We can use tier 2 speed modules. I try to build things somewhat extendable. I mean, ultimately, this is going to be rebuilt regardless, because it's not like we're not going to use E&M plants. It just doesn't make sense not to use them. So this will have to be rebuilt. By the time that comes around, it will probably be rebuilt on the train network. Let's see how these are doing. What am I thinking? this is backed up when we're saturating all of it. So the smart thing to do. God, this uses so little. What? Yeah, this was built real early on and just repeated. So let's. Yeah. Let's upgrade these. Then what I want to do is we'll upgrade this to red because we can see that we're not delivering enough circuits to saturate this line, and now we should have enough. Yeah, it's always the problem with belts is no matter how much you try to plan, I always feel like you forget something or it's difficult to kind of expand and keep in the same belt pattern. One thing I always forget is that, oh yeah, I'm also going to need iron ore. So it usually messes up my, usually like kind of have to jury rig that later. This time I was remembered. Are we doing on sciences? You already back? Let's make it do a round trip every 15. Sorry. I want to do 15 minutes, not 1500 seconds. Yeah. So everything's fine. You're just making introductions and looking around. While our Vulcanus base is slowly building, did I include these? Yeah, good. Do I have pipes? Yeah, I'll just put the pipes with me for the second. Okay. Beta Nauvis. So yeah, let's check production in the last 10 minutes. 107, 300. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. I can actually make it bigger. Yeah, let's bump this up. Yeah, I really like the thing about quality is just every time you can usually be like, oh, I can eke out a few more percentage points. That's the thing. That's what I always find that makes me happy. Oh, yeah, these should be upgraded. I can't tell you why I'm not copying and pasting. So, yes, yeah, these are all quality 2s. Quality 2s. I can bump them up more. What needs quality the most? Yeah, not sure. Or 250 we doing on this? Bam. Okay, let's up this a little bit here. Definitely producing enough. Yeah, we need to keep going because yeah, okay. Let's make this happier. Oh, what's the difference? 26. 30. Should I just add more? Yeah, maybe I'll just add more. Getting close. Let's just extend it a bit. Why didn't that work? Yeah, I'm not sure why that didn't work. Did I do something stupid up there? Extend this a little bit and then we will. It's making me a little dizzy. So what is that? That's maybe another 20%, increase it from 20, so I think boopity boop. Where are you? I have a little depot over here, but I've been trying to keep the modules close together so I can just kind of can know what's going on with them. Should a fair number of those. What's your percentage? 32. So rear speed modules are better than common tier 2 speed modules. You're looking a little sad. Why aren't you happy? Because I forgot to give you little outputs. Let's upgrade this. That's the other danger, is that upgrading things on the bus kind of it lets you get away and not putting it on the train network. That's gonna drive me nuts. Says, are any requests being satisfied? Did I do something stupid? Oh. Huh. I think I should have 2 rockets. How much do you cost? You 20 these. Let's plop down a solar panel and then add a rocket. stations. Gotta put you somewhere. What's the best? Oh, I'm not gonna be using this space. Oh, I have it over here. Yeah, I could have done some of these better in terms of the grid. What are you mad at? Oh, you're mad at construction bots. Actually. They have these little dummy storages. They're just normal storage, but the logistic filter is preset to a deconstruction planner, so that if no crack gets delivered to it in between when it's constructed and when I can set the filter. I don't know why these are. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because one thing that bugs me is if I set a storage chest and it doesn't have a filter, and then a whole lot of random stuff goes to it. Even when I set the filter, because it's already earmarked for delivery, it's way more of a problem on Fulgora, because on Fulgora I do sort things using what's it called? Using what are they? Active provider chests? Yeah, active provider chests. Active provider chests. Sorry, there's output of scrap recycling goes in active provider chests, which is then transferred to a bunch of filtered storage chests so that it's all nicely organized. That wasn't my idea. The first time I think I saw that was Dosh. Yeah, Dosh. One of his videos, he had that design. I'm not sure if he's the originator, but then, I can only properly cite as far back as I know. I'm making a good faith effort here. I usually the initial smelting array I use for stone shitters. I do using stone shitters. I use design Catherine the Sky has. So let's do an old one. I don't have it over here. These are things from a previous run through. Changed a bit. Yeah. Drafts of blueprints that didn't quite work out. Save drafts. Anywho's it's the point I was trying to do was I added some electricity so I don't feel guilty about adding more rockets, especially now that we're a little bit better. Rockets come in pairs. So another thing I have that I just plopped down is this parameter blueprint with a basic assembler. You request the item, the stacks, and it fills in the things. I want to find a way to clean it up because there's some things I don't like about it, but it's serviceable. And so I have one of those for about a lot of finished production items or logistic items, and there's one floating around somewhere for, yeah, here it is, for rockets, and you can see over here, yeah, it's set to only have 2 stockpiled because they're expensive. If I had a full chest of them, how much do they cost? Yeah. Don't really need to build 40 in advance. Use It's just so satisfying watching construction bots work. Another percentage point. This is my really pitiful space science. Okay, well, I think that's pretty... Yeah, I wish we had gotten more. I think that's pretty fine for sort of an introduction to this playthrough, a bit of a base tour. What some of the more interesting design elements that I think. I'll come do this again. This was kind of fun. I generally, the people in my life don't understand Factorio, so I don't get to talk about it too much. And this has been kind of a fun exercise. How are we doing over here? Yeah. How many do we need? Yeah, if I get 40 of some higher quality stuff, then we'll... Yeah, it's backed up. Sorry, I can't even say goodbye correctly because I'm distracted with the factory. We'll just do this. Okay, yeah, and then we need... Let's do that. We'll have... Our goal will be to get another 40. We'll get that up to 40, improve that, and then hopefully we'll finally start. Though it's looking pretty saturated. Okay, goodbye for realsies this time.